Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. My name is Jenny McCormack and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley in the UK. If you are joining me live, thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments as we go along, please feel free to add those. Hopefully, depending on how Facebook is playing, I'll be able to see them. If you're watching on replay or on my YouTube channel, then if you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to add your comments. I do look over those on a regular basis, and if there are any questions there, I'm more than happy to answer those for you. So let us see what we're doing today. So this week I have been focusing on this stamp set so far. It does have other components, it does have some papers, and it does have a punch. And what I've made so far, both live and in card sessions, are these cards here. So I'll just share these with you in case you haven't seen them already. Let me just check up and see that we are where we're supposed to be and doing what we're supposed to do. Because you never know these days. So let me hop onto my page on my phone and just check. And obviously if you are live, do say hi and let me know that you're watching. That's always good to know. Okay, it looks live. That's hopeful. We shall see. Okay, so this was one of the cards that I did earlier in the week, stamping the 3 flowers, the stalks and the individual leaves. And I've used some of the designer series paper, our patterned paper, for the background for that one. I've got a similar one in a different colourway. So this colour is Melon Mambo. I've stamped the 2 different flower heads that are of a similar size, these 2 here. And for this one I've done the stalk and the set of 2 leaves that come together. So you can choose whether you use the 2 small leaves, the individual leaves, or the larger leaves here at the bottom, depending on what you're stamping and the size of your panel. And then I've got 2 variations of this same card. So this is the larger flower head, the stalk and the double leaves. This colour is Calypso Coral. This one is Melon Mambo. And I've used the ornate layers design for this panel here, which I think really offsets it against the background. And I've used the small little flower stamp, which is here, to decorate the background of the card. So that's what we've done so far. In the Facebook Lives during the week, I did say this would be perfect for using with the Stamparatus. So that's exactly what we're going to do this evening. So I have my Stamparatus. This is a stamp positioning tool, as well as allowing you to move these stamps effectively around the paper or vice versa. It also allows you to stamp a really good image. So if you do struggle from dexterity issues, or you have any problems getting a nice even image when you're stamping, then the Stamparatus could well solve that problem for you. I have a series of videos all about the Stamparatus, and that's on my YouTube channel. So I will add a link at the bottom with the link to all the Stamparatus videos. So where I featured the Stamparatus in some way, then that will appear in the playlist for Stamparatus on my YouTube channel. Okay, let me see if we're doing, if anything is happening. Hopefully we're still live and up and running. Looks hopeful. Okay, so what I have prepared is a template. Now, this wasn't my original idea by any means, and all this is different sizes of squares that I printed out and I've turned at 45 degrees. And what this allows you to do is place your design onto the base plate here, stamp something, turn it and stamp again, turn it and stamp again. This is also called wreath stamping because it allows you to stamp a really good wreath, and that would be fab with some of the leaves in this set, especially these ones here. So this template is available to download, and I have put a link on the my Facebook page. Hi Carol. Somebody says they've had problems printing it, so if somebody is able to try that out, it seems to work fine when I do it, but then it probably would because it's come from my machine to start with. So it is a PDF file and you should be able to download it and then just print it. If you want to change the sizes of these boxes, then this is at 100%, but what you can do is make it smaller, so 95% or 90%, or make it larger. Obviously you can't go realistically any bigger than the base plate, so you could go up you know, maybe another not even a centimetre bigger than I've got here. This is approximately 4.5 inches. This particular one, the largest one, which is the blue one. You don't have to measure it exactly. If you've got a smaller square that you're working on, just find the one that's closest to your size, and if it doesn't have an exact match, just put it in between, because obviously this will be centralized in your panel. So I'm going to start with it in the center here. I'm just going to pop a magnet on there and on here for the minute. Let me just show you some of the designs. So I did have a little play this afternoon, and this very much reminds me of kaleidoscopes when I was younger, or even sort of spirographs. I remember getting a spirograph one Christmas. I was very excited, and I think I spent the whole of that Christmas just drawing spirograph circles. It's a very clever product. So hi to Kate and hi to Heather. Thank you for joining me. So I'm going to switch my glasses over. So these two are the ones I just had a play with earlier. So this one is actually a smaller square. Features this stamp here, and I put it in one position and then rotated the card round, so I will show you that. I put this stamp in the middle, and I like the way it's almost makes a circle. It's not an exact circle, but it's almost a circle. And then I added the leaves on the outside just for a level of interest. So if I bring that one up, you can see that. And then this one here, I was thinking it would look really like a sunflower by having that there, and then I changed it by adding some bits on the inside and the flowers on the outside. But I think I might try sunflower with yellow on the outside and then something brown in the center. So that's my starting plan, and then I'll just do some designs maybe with the smaller images to see what else we can come up with. So it really is just a case of play it and see how we get on. So I've got this already on my Stamparatus, and what I like to do is I have laminated this Okay, so it lasts longer. And what I have done is just added a little bit of tacky on the back with some seal. And because this particular stamp set is photopolymer, I've got my mat, my foam mat on the inside. So when I stick that down, I get a nice solid base to work on. You can just print it off on copy paper and use that. Obviously it will get you know, bent and buckled after a while. So I'm going to pop this in the middle, and if you watched any of my demonstrations before with this round stamping, I always like to start with the flat side first, because that is the shortest distance from the centre to the top. Whereas that obviously at the point is much further. So if you've got a stamp, for example, that just sits, you know, within that, if it's any higher than that and you turn this round, it will go off the end of this piece of paper. So I always recommend starting with it as a flat square rather than a diamond. And I think I'm going to try this sort of sunflower look. This is always a bit of trial and error, I don't mind telling you. And so also where you place this will vary the size of the circle. So you can bring this in obviously closer and it will overlap, or you can take it further and it will be spread out. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I'm just going to put that magnet on there. So I think I'm going to do a sort of halfway house. We'll try it and see. So I'm just going to lift my plate up, pop it down so that it picks up that 3-petaled image, and then just lift this back up. I know it's going to stick to the card because it's a nice sticky stamp. So let me just reset this one. Once it's got ink on it, it won't do that, she says, hopefully. Whoops. Okay, so do watch your magnets. I've got this one covered in some tape to stop it jumping together and smashing. Oh, thanks, Heather. We'll catch up with you later. Okay, so I've just got some basic white paper card underneath there, and I'm just going to try it with Daffodil Delight. As I say, I have no idea how this position's going to sit. This is a smaller card, and this was the position of my stamp. So if I wanted to recreate this again and I wasn't sure what the position was, what I would do is I would place this on my my piece that I've got there, obviously without the magnet on, and then I would actually take the stamp and position it on top of that image, take this piece away and then start stamping. So if I lift this over, I can see this is going to be slightly wider, so I am going to get more of a space in between each of these petals. So I'm just going to see what that looks like. I've got plenty of card. I can always turn this piece over and see how we get on. So I'm going to use Daffodil Delight. And see how it goes. So I'm just inking this up, and I'm not worried that I have got a little bit of ink on the plate, because I'm not going to be pressing that element of the plate down. However, I can see a hair. So I'm going to just clean that off and re-ink it. So the hair could be on the ink pad and it could be on the stamp. In this house, anything goes. Okay, so there's one. What I like to do is keep a magnet in the middle. It's not critical. I'm going to turn this by my 45 degrees. Just recenter it in that little area there. Re-ink and stamp it again. I'll try not to do it too close to the camera. So because I've taken these petals further out, you can see they're not overlapping, whereas on this one here they overlapped quite a lot. Okay. Hi Verity. Well, lovely to have you join us. Haven't seen you for a little while, or rather we haven't caught up with each other for a little while. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate this again, and as I say, just centralising this because I haven't cut this exactly to the same size as my template, but as I said, that really doesn't matter. Going to ink it up again and stamp it. So as you can see, Verity, we're doing a bit of in the round stamping. I've decided to call it a Kaleidoscope card because it reminds me of a kaleidoscope from when I was a little girl. I used to have a tube that was filled with little pieces of coloured plastic, and then as you turned it, it had mirrors, and it made it, yeah, made it look really interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat this going round, so I'll end up with 8 altogether. So I'm using our ink pads, our standard size ink pads. You can use our stamping spots, which are smaller ink pads, and you can get a set of those, which is a great way to get started with stamping. You could also use our Stampin' Up marker pens. That's these ones here that allow you to stamp a particular ink up a stamp with a particular colour or multiple colours. You can't use our blends pens, those are our alcohol markers, because they will dry instantly they hit the stamp. So it has to be an ink pad that is water based. You could use a pigment ink as well. So it doesn't matter what order, whether you ink and then turn or you turn and then ink. If you forget to turn and you bring it over and you realise it's still there, doesn't matter, just turn it once more, like so. So I've got a busy weekend coming up, so I have along with 2 of my team, we have our all-day crafting event on Saturday. This hopefully will be the last virtual event, and we will be back in person, all being well, in October, which is when our next one would be, just at the beginning of October. So we're very much looking forward to having that back in person, so watch out for details of booking that. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So we've got our design going round, and I think that really looks pretty, and I like the way that this makes an almost circle, not quite a circle. And as you can see, we've got 8 petals there. So there's various things we can do. We could stamp a sentiment in the middle and put some other things around the outside. We could add some leaves here in between each one of those. I could add some leaves going round, although it might be a little bit tight here around the outside. Oh, do you keep missing me, Verity? I'm sorry about that. You've never tried stamping in the round, Verity? It's really good fun and quite addictive. I have just uploaded this template onto Gemini Crafts on my Facebook page, so have a look for that if you want to, just a PDF file. So I'm just deliberating what I'm going to do with this. Let me show Verity a couple of other designs that I had a go with earlier on. So this one here and this one. These are 4-inch squares. This is 4.5 inch, and I'm going to mount it onto a 5-inch card to have a little bit of a border. So let's have a look and see. Okay, let's take this off. So we're using the In Symmetry set. Obviously you could use any stamp set really. You want small enough images, so I could put hearts in between there. I could put a flower in between there. I could put a leaf in between there. Too much choice. Oops. I could put this flower coming inwards, which is what I had on this one here. I think I might do this one, this little flower here. In between. And I'm actually going to stamp it in early espresso because I'm wondering as that fills up whether it would look, I want it to look a bit like a sunflower. That's sort of my idea, just because of the colours really. So if I can find early espresso. Have a look and see. I could use soft suede or something, but I think if I bring that in, that might work. Might not, but then if we don't experiment, we won't know. Okay, so lifting that up and over, pressing that down. I know this might move again a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. The main thing is that the template itself isn't moving. I'm just repositioning this each time within the template. And I'm just centralising it really. So let's try this out. Oh, thanks Verity. As I say, I was literally just playing this afternoon. See what this looks like, and obviously this is a great design to mix and match with your stamps, and it does work particularly well with solid stamps obviously. Okay, doesn't matter which way you turn it, and if you miss one by mistake it doesn't matter, you can just come back and fill it in. That's the good thing about the Stamparatus. There we go. So the further out from the centre, the wider the spacing. I'm sure there's some mathematical formula I should be able to quote from my days at school and college. But maybe not. Right, leave that one there. Just swivel it round. So thank you for the thumbs up. So just going to work my way through. There's that one. So I'm so pleased to be back at Coffee and Card. So that's going really well. Had some new bookings. That's always lovely to see new faces. It really is. So enjoy Coffee and Card. Just about socialising and crafting together. And we'll be using this set tomorrow to do these cards here. That's what we're doing in our Coffee and Card. Okay. I have laminated the template. Quite right, Verity. Just because it makes it last longer. And also it means I can stick it down with a bit of glue, or I've used seal, onto my platform. And then this keeps this template in place. And then you can just manipulate everything else. I've got where I got to now. Yeah, done that one. Should have put that in the middle. So I like to leave that one in the middle, and then I can just sort of rotate around it. The other magnet isn't really needed. There we go. So I'll speed these up a little bit more. Keep taking that one off. Dear, dear. So yes, Coffee and Card tomorrow and Monday, and then we've got an all-day event on Saturday, and then all being well, I have my class in a box next Saturday. So it's all systems go. And if anybody's watching that hasn't clocked already, we do have free shipping today. This is if you're watching live on Thursday the 24th of June. So you get courier delivery to your door, absolutely free for orders over £35. Okay, so I've got that. I'm just wondering if this will fit in the centre now. So I would quite like that in the centre. Yep. I mean, I could put a sentiment, but I think I'm going to do this. Let me just make sure this is clean. Now, what colour do you think I should do this in the middle? I don't want to introduce too many colours. So I could do it espresso or daffodil. What do you think, those that are watching live? Oops. Any suggestions? That wasn't very clean. It's got blue on it. Oh, that will teach me. Okay, well that answers my question. It's going to be early espresso because daffodil won't cover that up. That'll teach me. If it doesn't work, I could stamp it and punch it out, but I think I'm going to be very lucky because I'm covering over exactly where the stamp went. I think it'll be alright. Yes, phew, that was lucky, wasn't it, girls? Okay, what do you reckon? I'll bring that up. Are we looking anything like a sunflower? That was the image I had in my mind. So I could bring this in slightly, reposition this flower slightly further in if I want these all to connect. This would then bring these ones in, okay, which would make it all smaller. But I quite like it as it is. I think that works really well. Now I could cut this down if I wanted to, or I could add some detail around the outside. So remembering it's going to go around 8 times, so I could have something either side of this and repeat that, or I could just leave it as it is, because I do quite like it. What do you think? Very 70s. Funny enough, Kate, I thought exactly the same thing, especially with oranges and browns. Definitely. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that. Yeah, I am. I might trim it slightly, but I think it works. And then I'm going to put my sentiment on the inside of the card. I do like all of those sayings, and I like the style, as you can see from here. Best day ever. And let's find the other one. This one that I put thanks so much on. So let's put this to one side and do another design. So I'll change the colours out, do another one, and then just pop those cards together. Just mount them up. So I've got another piece here. This is also 4.5 inches square, which, if anybody needs to know, is 11.4 centimetres. Okay, so I'm thinking it would be nice to use these two. So let's give it a go, and especially as they've got a natural curve, this would also work well almost as a corner. Ooh, that's quite tempting. You could put one in each of the corners. Might have to do another one. Might have to do 3 cards today. Okay, so remember, my recommendation is to start with it in this format, so that you're not going off the top, because if you'd started up here, this piece would have been going over. So I'm going to try that. Take that one off, wipe it so I don't have that same problem with blue ink. It is such a lovely set, I really do like it. Plus it has the punch and the fab papers, of course. Oops. Yes, don't want those too close. We don't want them getting too friendly. Okay, so I pop that down. Let me just reset that. And let's use, so I've got a granny apple green. We could try that, see what that looks like. So a lot of these are the brights colours, so I've got Pacific Point here as well, and Real Red. So let's see what this looks like. It's very All Keeley design, isn't it? Very much in that style. So this is the one that tells us how close it's going to be and whether it's going to overlap. Okay, that's all right. Can't believe it's Thursday night already. I'm not quite ready for Friday. Do you think somebody could just hold off Friday for me? So I think I'm going to have to do one going the other way in a different colour. What do you think? Yes, it's rather nice. This is the first time I've used this stamp actually. It's rather nice. And I do like the fact there's two, one bending one way and one bending the other, the same as the other leaves. As I say, if you miss one, I'll just show you, it really doesn't matter. So let's say I've missed that one and I popped around two. Obviously when you get to this point you know that you missed one out, but you can just go back and add it in. If you find some words that are on a curve, that makes a great card as well, because you can have words going round. So this one is going to be 2 turns, like so. As I said, it's not absolutely accurate because I've got a bit of space around my template, but at the end of the day is effectively hand stamped. Okay, so I feel I want to put the leaves going the other way. What do you think? Don't know why I do, just do. So the problem is they're going to overlap more. So the alternative is to bring them in and just do 4. So turn this here. So I'm really just eyeing up. If this was in quarters, what I'm going to do is just mark those edges. Whoops. Like so. And then what I want to do is turn it and then see where the next one falls. Oh. So I think that will work. There's a little bit of a gap. So I could afford to bring it, so remember, the closer in you get, the tighter it will be. I know that, you know, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? So this one will give me a little bit of a gap. So I could afford to bring it in very slightly more. So what I'm going to do is position that inside of those dots. Rub the dots out with my rubber from my first aid kit, which is my stamping first aid kit. It does have plasters in it, and it should have a rubber in it, which I got out earlier. But something else. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at that. I can't really repeat it because it won't be exactly. Okay. Normally, to be honest, I would just stamp this. I'm not really not this particular normally. So now if I turn this round, let's just see where that's going to go. So I can see my marks Yeah, I'm happier with that. It's just a bit closer to each other, a bit less of a gap. I could bring it even further if I wanted to. So what colour shall I do these? Shall I do them Pacific Point? Real red? Pacific Point is calling me today. I really don't know why. Okay. Right, let's whiz these around. So I only need 4 of these. There's 1. 2. 3, and then 4. Just do those really quickly. There we go. Voila. There we are. So I could put thanks so much in the middle. I could also potentially put something in between those 2 layers if I wanted to. Let's see what the thanks so much looks like on there, whether it will fit. It does, but I think it's going to look too plain. I want to stamp maybe that one in the middle, and then small flower in between. So let's see. Sorry, I'm sure I've gone on, yes, gone on a lot longer than I intended. I'm so sorry. But hopefully it's good for you to see the sort of, I won't say the design process, but the see my cogs calculating. So I'm going to put that in the middle in real red. Why not? I'm going to pop a link pad onto there to support it. Wow. Yep, that's very inky. That's almost too inky, but I'm going to go with it. Yep. Okay. Now, there's nothing to stop you hand stamping in between, so you don't have to do everything all on the Stamparatus. So if you wanted to just dot some bits and pieces around, you could easily do that. Don't feel, you know, you've got to keep it exactly within that. I'm just going to see what I can do with these little leaves as to whether I can, whether it adds anything. So I could put them between there, like so. So it's touching that flower, edge of the flower, and the gap is between those two. Let's give that a go. And that's going to lift up a little bit. Let's try that. So this is a quarter of a turn. So you can see how much fun you can have with these. Just making up patterns. Obviously if you're doing a wreath you get a different look altogether, especially if it's a loose design. I'm just going to move that slightly. And then the last one. So I could actually have hand stamped those because I could see where they're going. There we are. Here's my little flower. There we are. So that's a little bit different. I do feel it needs something in between. Personally, it's too widely spaced for that, in my opinion. Just going to see. Sorry, now I've got carried away. Just seeing whether that would work really. It's a bit busy, doesn't it? Okay. So I could add either just some little dots around. That always works well. Either just dotting it or using a small stamp. Just wonder if this little flower would work that we used before. Oh, it's just a bit too big for that. So I think what I'm going to do, is have a look for I want a thin line of something to go around there. Let me see what I can find. Just having a quick look. Let's see. I've got Art in Bloom. There's those three. Not quite what I'm after. And then I've got, what have I got from here? So you have to remember these are slightly bigger than you see here. So let me just see if that just wondering whether that would work. No. I'm being a bit picky now, aren't I? Sorry. Let me try. Those are definitely too big. What about this long stalk here? The little flower head. No. Okay, I'm not going to be defeated by this. What about that little flower head? On its own. No. Okay. Just overlapping a little bit too much, but it might do. We're going to give it a go. So it is another set of leaves, but I'm going to position them so they come within that, between that point and the next lot of leaves. Sorry, I know you can't really see that. You'll see it when it inks up. I forget that with clear stamps you can't see what I'm doing at all. So I think what I'm going to do is I don't really want to use another colour. I don't really want to use the red. Maybe I'll just use a lighter green to fill that in. Let's use soft sea foam. This one here. So sorry if you've been sat there waiting. If you're still here, then thank you. If you're watching on replay, of course, do please fast forward. It's a bit late to tell you that now, isn't it? But yes, feel free to fast forward. There we go. That's better. Right, let's see if we want it every... Yep, I reckon that'll work. Right, I'm going to whiz round this. So this has got the 2 leaves, but they are slightly smaller than the individual leaves I was looking at. I have to say, I think I'm preferring my original simple version, but hey ho. I think it still works. Maybe if I hadn't have had my blue leaves, it would have looked better, because it would have been all leaves then, wouldn't it? Right. Let's see what you've all said. Oh, that's a good idea. Moretta says, real well, I could have done it as a Christmas card. Oh, that would have been very clever. Hey ho, right, where have I got to? There we go. Yeah, that's a great idea. Right, final one. But yes, we do show our age when we talk about kaleidoscopes and spirographs, although you can still get a spirograph, I seem to think. Okay. There we go. So I am going to put something in each of those little gaps. I might just hand stamp something. Let's have a look and see. Maybe I'll just put 3 little dots with my pen. I've got an early espresso pen here. A bit too light. I'm very indecisive, aren't I, tonight? Okay. There we are, soft sea foam, a few dots. Right, excellent. Thank you for your patience. This was my first one, which is definitely my preferred one, but you can see where I was going with this one. So I think this would look better if I hadn't have done the blue and I'd stuck to the greens, but I think they still work for a design. And my 2 samples that I was playing around with earlier are these 2. So you can see there's all sorts of variations. So these are slightly bigger and therefore spread out. These are smaller, these are 4 inches. So they've sort of come in together. So I'm just going to mount this particular one up. I'll leave the others and mount those later. So I think an early espresso layer onto Bumblebee, I think, would be my choice. Oh. And what I was aiming for was the look of a sunflower. I'm hoping this might be 5 inches. It is. So I'm just going to cut this to 10 inches and score it at 5 inches. There we go. That's my square card. And then just cut a panel that is 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut this. So I've got 1 card base and then cut this one down, and then the scrap piece goes into my little drawer under browns. So I put all the browns together. I don't tend to separate them out. Let's see what that looks like. Yes, I like that. As you say, very 70s. Okay, so I've got my seal for my blue, Popping that onto my early espresso layer, just holding it over and my fingers underneath on one side until I've got it square. Do the same on this one. This reminds me of a pattern of tiles you might have in a 70s kitchen. It would be quite fun to put that through an embossing folder, wouldn't it, as well, to make it look sort of vintagey. Okay, so let's line that up. And again, just keeping my fingers under on the right hand side. There we are, and I'm going to put thanks so much on the inside in espresso. Let's grab the block. I could put a layer inside if I wanted to, but I'm just going to. I think you've seen enough of me today. For those that are crafting with me on Saturday, at least that you haven't got to listen to me on my own. You've got Tara and Lynn to break the day up, which is really nice because they have different styles of teaching and different styles of crafting, so it's a good combination. There we are. Thanks so much. I'm going to put a tiny gem right in the centre. If I could get a little champagne one, I think that would be nice. Okay. There we have it. Our finished card finally. So, thank you so much for joining me. Do let me know which design you preferred. I just think the blues, you know, now I've done all of the rest of that in green, I think the blue spoils it personally. What I might do with that is cut out a stamp another centre, cut it out with a circle die, and then pop it on top. That's what I'm going to do with that one. And then these I will probably just mount up onto base cards. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I won't be back tomorrow because I'm still preparing everything for the weekend. I am going to use this set of coffee and card tomorrow afternoon, and because I've hardly touched the designer paper or the punch, I think I will carry on using this set with those components next week for the first part of the week. So we're back Monday at 10 AM. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your kind comments. I've just realised that my microphone wasn't anywhere near me. Oh, Kate says it reminds her of the curtains in her uni room. Oh, I like that. Brilliant. So, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Moretta. Kate, Verity. See who's still left with me. Heather. Oh, Heather's gone and come back again. Carol might still be here. So thank you all so much for this evening. Appreciate your company. Take care and look after yourselves. I hope you can keep crafting, and I do appreciate you watching and taking time out of your day to join me. Thank you so much. Catch up with you on Monday. See you at Coffee and Card if you're local tomorrow. See you at Let's Get Creative event on Saturday. Thanks everyone. Take care now. Bye bye.